Hello, people. Good mornings. Another beautiful day. Yeah. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? On a Saturday. What do we got? What do we got? All right. Look, I got a little issue with the Armor Core developers. Listen, Armor Core developers. You cannot have freedom of movement without open world. You need open world to have freedom of movement. You can't have freedom of movement in a two-dimensional world because you're limited. You can't have freedom of movement in a side-scrolling world because you're limited. But you can have freedom of movement in an open world because open world is 360s, three dimensions. Every angle of a game is covered, and you get to see the different the different sides of the character, their interaction, their movements within the video game environment. So to say that to say that in Armor Core 6 that you focus on freedom of movement without an open world, that's not good. Because now you're putting limits on a game. Listen to this. Says here, what's up, Tech for Gamers? Says here, Armor Core 6 open world. Armor Core 6 skip open world to focus on freedom of movement and customization. You can't do that. You got to have open world with freedom of movement and customization. If you take the open world out of a mech game, now you're putting limits on the game. You can't do that. But anyway, let's get into this article here. See what we got here. Says here, almost after a decade of no installment in the series, From Software is finally revisiting the Armor Core franchise, and the upcoming installment, Armor Core 6, is scheduled for August 25th, 2023. Says here, there has been a lot of buzz about the upcoming Armor Core game. From Software has found incredible success in the open world genre recently, and many fans were curious if Armor Core would also implement an open world. However, From Software has clarified that Armor Core 6 will not be based on an open world. You can't do that, especially when you're dealing with mechs and robots. You cannot put limits on. You cannot put limits on video games. Video games have no limits. Remember, video game has no limits. You learned it from me. But anyway, says here why it matters. While an open world may work for Elden Rings and Souls game, the same is not necessarily true for Armor Core because it brings its unique offering. Well, that statement is not true. The same is necessary, okay? Because you need open world for mech games. If you take the open world out of a mech game, the mech game will lose its value. Anyway, let's keep going here. Let's see here. So I can bring this down here. Okay. It says here, then he says here, in all black, it says here, it seems to be a mission style play. The process of creating a wide field and battle, you must have thoughts about different play methods and the previous series, such as open world. But is there a reason why it was maintained as a way to clear the story mission? It says here, Yamamura, in the process of developing the sequel, there was also an opinion to make it in a different game style. However, as a result of discussion, it was concluded that it should not be made in a title centered on movements and exploration, such as Elden Rings or Souls in the Armor Core series. Depending on the assembly, the movement performance of the character changes and affects the play, because that is the charm of the series. Says here, it is designed to think about the speed of movement through jumps and boosts, and depending on the combination of these parts, the reach, altitude, and speed varies in respect. It was judged that the elements of exploration and the gameplay of Armored Core did not match. Therefore, we came to the conclusion that Armored Core should be developed in a way that enjoys mission using assemble. Then he says here, however, the charm of Armored Core that you can go even without a road is great. You will be able to see the style of dynamic movement, a there three-dimension and high-level map as it. I hope you enjoy these parts. I think you'll be able to feel a different pleasure from exploring every nook and cranny of the careful crafted map as you move. Now, back to this article now. It says here, in a recent interview with the development team, the director was asked if they ever thought about implementing an open world into Armored Core 6. He replied that this was considered but ultimately abandoned. And then he says here, see if I can get this here. As a result of discussion, it was concluded that it should not be made into a title centered on movement and exploration, such as Elden Rings and Soul series. And then he says here, therefore the team decided to make the game stand out from previous From Software release, like Elden Rings or Dark Souls. According to director, Armored Core 6 will focus on customization, parts, and assembly, so that the players can pick up the best build for the mission. Armored Core 6 also features fast-paced movement and booster. Therefore, it says here, the developer have decided to focus on the aspect of gameplay to ensure players are satisfied with controls and gameplay mechanics. Then it says here, however, this does not mean that exploration will not be important. The director states that players can still enjoy exploring the map, even if the map is based on a different gameplay style. And then it says here, Armored Core dates back to 1997. The game had a long break after its most recent release, and the next story looks extremely promising. And judging from the anticipation around the game, this could be another big win for From Software. And that is the end of the article. Look, what's up, Tech for Gamers? Look, and thanks for the article, by the way. Look, when it comes to mechs, robots, they have to be in an open world environments, so you can cover the different types of movement, mechanics, different type of flights, from landing to taking off, from running to to jumping, all that. You need an open world to cover that 3D aspect of video games, so you can cover every angle of the mech while the game is running and while a battle is ensuing. If you take the open world aspects out of a mech game, then you are putting limits on video. You're putting limits on Armored Core. You have to keep Armored Core in an open world 3D open world environment, so you can cover the different camera angles, different movements, different play styles, different traversals, whether it's flying, running, walking, landing, whatever, battles. You have to cover all that. So to me, so what if Armored Core is like Dark Souls or Elden Ring? So what? Dark Souls and Elden Rings are open 3D world games, right? The same needs to happen to Armored Core. So they shouldn't feel ashamed that Armored Core is like an open world game like Dark Souls or Elden Rings. They should have been happy, because in a 3D open world, when it comes to mechs, every angle of the mech is covered, and then you got to give the mech, the robot, different movements, different different movements, different play style, different you know combat systems, and all those angles are covered within an open world game. So to me, for them to go away from that, the game is going to take a hit. It's going to take a hit because you need like some games you can keep. Some games you can you I mean games, a lot of games in generals that were side scrolling and that were like top down or like two dimensional. A lot of those games needed to be in an open world environment so they can grow, so they can flourish. Armored Core, when you're dealing with robots, that has to be in an open world 3D. You know, it will be like look at let's see here. Look at what's a good mech game I could use here? Look at Hawkins. Look at Hawkins. Now take that and apply it to Armored Core and then add an open world aspect to it. You need open world to cover the different camera angles, battles, interactions, all that, man. So to me this game is gonna take a little dip for the simple fact you didn't blend the two together, the freedom of movement with open world in Armored Core 6. But that's just me. You know, you have to have freedom of movement with open world when it comes to robots and mech games. You can't keep the game in a two-dimensional or side-scrolling or top-down. When you keep it like that, you're putting the game is suffering. It's not able to grow like the game is not able to grow like it wants to. So Armored Core 6 to me is going to take a little dip just because you went away from the open worldness, you know, because you're talking about like say a robot like jump on top of a building, jump off the building, run around the building, you know, flying through the building, all that. You gotta cover all them angles, all that, you know. So when it comes to mech games, they have to be in a open world and 3D environment combined, so you can see the different movements, different play styles, everything, and that way the game can grow and flourish, you know. But when you take the open worldness away from it, the game is going to suffer a little, and that's just my take on the whole thing, you know. When I read through this article, you know, you have to when it comes to robots and mechs, or when it comes to robots mechs like say Gundams, Transformers, Armored Core, Hawkins, Mech Warrior, Mech Assault. Those games, they need to be in an open world in 3D, so you can add different play style, different elements, different combat systems, different movements, so the game can grow and flourish, you know. So yeah, and when it comes to open world games, you need to you know, you there's so much details when it comes to open world games and mechs. There's so much detail that you got to bring out in those games, because the possibilities now are endless now with a mech when it's in a when the game is like it's in an open world 3D environment. It's endless because now you can add different play style, all that, man. So for them to like went away from that, the game is gonna take a dip a little bit, you know. So right now open world games is where video games are, you know. So in a lot of games that we used to play that was on in a two-dimensional or 3D, a lot of them needed to be in open world so they can grow, so they can flourish. Armored Core needs to be open world in 3 dimensions combined. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts and opinion. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek thing for Dark Side. Go. Peace.